Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Martin Zero is the name of this channel, and we're also on Tartaria History is another channel. I mean, look at this building already in the background here. Built with horse and cart, apparently, probably in about fucking 6 months, according to the fucking timeline here. Do we believe it? Not really. Not really. Let's go back to this anyway first. Martin Zero, very interesting little video, to be honest. Again, quite interesting to me as well, because I used to live in Manchester. The Forgotten History of Piccadilly Gardens, Manchester, plus Underground. So, we're 23-minute video here. We're 6 minutes into the video. As you can see, if you can just see these little clips, he's underneath Piccadilly Gardens here in basically this whole thing he'll show you in a minute. It's a fountain, and yeah, well, this is the workings of the fountain underneath, basically. But again, like underneath the streets of Manchester, it goes down 2 levels as well. So like again, in the whole Tartarian mud flood kind of scenario, buried buildings, etc. Buried up buildings, and no, you'll own nothing and be happy there. The last video. So yeah, like it goes 2 stories down underneath Manchester, so it just kind of fits into that whole sunken areas kind of thing, and as if something a mud flood again is the scenario. So yeah, it was quite interesting video anyway, and the renovating Piccadilly Gardens he mentions in the video, it's a bit of a hot spot now for various things, crime, migrants, fucking stabbings, drug dealers, you name it. There's a hive of villainy there, like Star Wars. Like the Star Wars bar. It's fucking worse than the Star Wars bar, to be honest. An absolute hive of villainy, especially at the weekends and at nights, as we've seen on many YouTubers there. So, yeah, this is underneath Piccadilly Gardens. He goes outside in a moment. As you can see, he goes back up the stairs to the actual fountain, and yeah, it's kind of when I lived there. It was in it's been in it's had many forms. Piccadilly Gardens. When I lived there, it wasn't even in this form. They changed it just after I lived there. When I lived there, it didn't have a fountain and that. It was more just of a grass area, and it was a lot more pleasant as well when I lived there. To be fair. So yeah, it gets constantly renovated. Piccadilly Gardens every 20 years, 30 years, that kind of thing. So as he explains in the video, the people who maintain the fountain system, they've gone bust. So there's no one to maintain this fountain system anymore. So they're going to remove it and renovate Piccadilly Gardens. Again, the renovation will probably keep in mind that it's gone to shit in Piccadilly Gardens. I'd imagine there'll be a lot of fucking cameras installed as well. So yeah, the renovation is taking place, I would say, primarily due to how bad Piccadilly Gardens has got, and the fountain issue is secondary, but it is an issue, so we might as well sort it out while we're sorting out Piccadilly Gardens. Probably installing 50,000 fucking cameras in the vicinity. So anyhow, we'll play a bit of this. It just shows you a bit of history of Manchester, though, is why I'm mentioning this. And again, I mentioned it in the last video, in like the 1700s there, and there's basically fuck all of Manchester. So if you go back to about the 1500s, that would kind of be the starting time of Manchester. It would seem like there's nobody there in like the 1700s. The popular, I mean, again, how far back do we? I'll show you when we get to the map. Well, how far back are we going till there's actually nothing there? And it's not going to be hundreds and hundreds of years by the size of Manchester in the 1700s here. So again, with this whole old world kind of situation here, as I've mentioned before, it's kind of like everything started up in sort of the 1500s. We started getting the maps of the world maps, etc. And yeah, like something happened, and then we started to explore the world. Even though we've kind of had the opportunity to explore the world for the entire all of history, we've always had boats. Do you know what I mean? Why did we just suddenly decide in fucking the 1500s there we were gonna go sailing? You know what I mean? When we've had boats for probably what fucking 6,000 years. So there's definite fucking problems with these timelines and these buildings here as well. Like fucking apparently built in fucking 6 months with horse and cart. Get fucking pillars for man and boy here. There's definite problems. So we'll have a lot listen to both. Anyhow, we'll go with the old Manchester first, and just have a lot look at Manchester, and then we'll go and have a look at these World Fairs again. Again, more detailed World Fair kind of crack. So yeah, let's have a lot listen to this.
Underneath Piccadilly Gardens, it was amazing. Such a shame it's all coming out, to be honest with you, but it is now defunct. And there's a bit of a shower there. Roy was insisted on showing you. I think it's in case you get a chlorine splash that, or there's an emergency. So there you go. That's what's lurking underneath Piccadilly Gardens that we don't know about, or I didn't know about, certainly. So there you go. Normally quite a bustling place, but
full of migrants and fucking villainy and fucking drug dealers, stabbings now and again. Yeah, it's generally full of fucking foreigners as well. That's what I noticed when I was down there. So this was the fountain. It lit up and fucking yeah, it was a lit up fountain. People used to run through it for fun. Yada yada yada. I think it was installed again in like 2002. I was there in like 2001 when the Commonwealth Games was on. This used to be Piccadilly 21's, the nightclub. It was the full fucking building. All that building was Piccadilly 21's. All floors. Again, they only used the first 2 floors. These 2 were empty. All 3 were empty. And all the drink was stored upstairs. I think there was a basement as well. So it was fucking massive building, like. I think they're all flats in it now, but the whole building was Piccadilly 21's nightclub. So a lot of been done in Manchester. I mean, this looks like an old building here with the spires, etc. Well, yeah, Manchester's going up left, right, and centre. Again, Manchester will definitely be a fucking one of the 15-minute cities here, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So, yeah, that was underneath. Again, if you want to watch the video, he's under there for quite a while. It's quite interesting, to be honest. So, we'll play on, and you'll get to this map of Manchester in fucking the 1700s here. Hold on.
Obviously, no one here at the minute. It's all been fenced off. We've got access. A thank you to Manchester City Council for giving us access and allowing us to record the area before it all changes. I don't know what the time scale is on the changes. Let's have a look at some of these. So if you look, it's quite an extensive fountain. And as you can see, that's where the water came out, and there's some lights in there as well. Look, if you can see, there's just lights in there as well. And then the water comes shooting out. And of course, in summer,
in summer, it's usually worse than it is in winter. I think that's not what he's going to say, but let's pretend it is here. We lost the quality there as well. We have the gremlins here. The usual PlayStation bagwash, to be honest. Fuck me, I'm going to have to knock it off because it won't even load now. We're trying to look at the fucking map of Manchester here, so can you fuck off? Right, that's what it looks like anyhow. This building wasn't here when I was there either. That's a fairly new addition, but still probably about 20 years, to be honest. Right, we're just going to skip forward here to the map of Manchester. Let's go a bit bigger here if we can. So, yeah, this is the map of Manchester in 1650 there. A plan of Manchester and Salford taken about 1650. So, the 1700s, and there's Salford, I think, on the bottom. 1700s here, and this is Manchester in its entirety. Manchester City Centre in the 1700s. So again, you roll it back 200 years to the sort of the 1500s, and you would have next to nothing here, possibly. Do you know what I mean? Again, look at the size of Manchester today. It's sprawling. Again, it's joined with other things as well, I suppose, in other boroughs. But yeah, there was nothing of it. Again, this is Market Street here, and basically it was called Market Lane at the time, as you can see there. And Piccadilly Gardens isn't even here. I think Piccadilly Gardens is this area here, or this particular section. So it wasn't even a thing, Piccadilly Gardens, in the 1700s there. And Manchester didn't even get that far from the river here. It's not even the canal, it's the river. So here's Deansgate down here. So again, this will be Market Street up from Deansgate, and yeah, you get to where Piccadilly Gardens is, and that's the end of Manchester. There's like a clay pit clay pits are up where Piccadilly Gardens was. So, yeah, again, I find it interesting that again, everything we're looking at with these timelines. And in the 1700s, Manchester was pretty much tiny, to be honest. And if we went back um, another 200 years to sort of the 1500s here, when we decided to fucking start documenting when history began, so to speak, they'll have been next to fuck all here, you know what I mean? So where the fuck was everybody before that? Like, what, you know what I mean? It's kind of honestly like history starting about the 1500s here. So again, I just thought it was interesting that again, there's barely now here no very small population as populations go. Where do we get all the workforces to build all these fucking magnificent fucking buildings when there was no fucker about? You know what I mean? I mean, even in this video, he goes into what was eventually built at Piccadilly. Again, I don't know. He says it's brand new, and there's a fucking photo here, and it looks like it's fucking. Here we go. They said they built this, which is a Royal Infirmary, opened in 1755 here. Well, why does it look as old as fuck? Do you know what I mean? Why does it look like you built it fucking 500 years ago? So, I don't know. Again, it's got a dome on it. It's got the pillars here. All the Romanesque architecture we seem to love to build there in the 17 and the 1800s, apparently. Why we were building such magnificent structures of the day when we don't bother now, you know what I mean? We fucking now, no. We'll knock your shitty house up to the last 50 years. I mean, and they've knocked all this down. This is literally where Piccadilly Gardens is now. Apparently where this was. So apparently this was opened in 1755, but it looks like it's fucking 500-year-old fucking back then, do you know what I mean? So I don't know, it's all these buildings, isn't it? It all just seems very suspicious that they managed to knock up buildings like this that will literally last forever. They're all got fucking pillars here and all this exact same fucking top to the pillars, do you know what I mean? Always this crack. Always these domes as well. Hard as fuck to build in the time that this was built. Like, we could build this, it'd still be a monumental task to build this today, do you know what I mean? It would be a big job now. Yeah, back then, when we had fuck all, we were knocking these things up like there was no tomorrow, do you know what I mean? I mean, look at this one. Look at this one in America here. You thought Britain could do it well. No, fuck you guys. Look, we'll knock one up twice as big in half the time, you know what I mean? It took you fucking 2 years to build that. We'll knock this up in fucking 6 months. These world fairs, not a problem here. Not a problem. So there's something wrong here for me. There's something wrong. We're being lied to, and to me it looks like that building was there a lot longer, to be honest. And again, is it this whole we inherited a load of buildings again? Well, a lot of which we've knocked down. This one we've knocked down, but to me this looks real fucking old. Do you know what I mean? It looks real old. And again, how are you building all this back in fucking 1755 with no fucking cranes or electric or fuck all? Why would you bother building all this then? And again, to just build, well, everybody's living in wooden shacks, except we decide to build them the most magnificent concrete structures the world's ever fucking seen here. Bada bing. So, we'll go on to this video again to tear your history here. Very good video, to be honest. Makes very good points about all of these structures and what the fuck's going on. Again, the timelines and the fucking technology, it doesn't stand up to the argument here of how long they've claimed to have built all these. I mean, look at this. Look how many pillars there is there. I can't even fucking count them. Must be 20 odd. And we've got this building here in Manchester that apparently it fucking looks like it's fucking 1,000 fucking year old or something here. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is the key to me to how I've ended up at Satan's Little Season. It's these buildings. There's something wrong, and then there's the whole Terra del Esso Dateline kind of situation here as well, and many passages in the Bible that kind of say, why the fuck's Jesus waiting fucking 2,000 years to come back here? So yeah, we'll move on to this video, as I've said, and very. We'll get this guy do some bit of talking, and the photos as well. Let the photos do a bit of the talking here. Hold on.
There is a building in Chicago that was constructed in 6 months. It covered 74 acres. It contained 14 million square feet of floor space. It had its own internal railway system, its own power grid, its own water supply, and its own postal service. It was built from the ground up in a city that, 40 years earlier, had been a trading post with fewer than 5,000 residents.
I'm sorry to interrupt him already, but I mean, fuck me, look at that. Look at that. We built it in 6 months, lads. Are you having a laugh, pal? No. No, we built it in 6 months, obviously. Yeah, it's fucking not a problem. In the fucking 1851 here, or fucking the 1800s, no cranes or electric or anything at all here. 6 months. You fucking modern builders here, you're useless. You're absolutely useless, to be honest. We knocked this up in 6 months.
Up in a city that, 40 years earlier, had been a trading post with fewer than 5,000 residents. When it opened in May of 1893, it attracted 27 million visitors over 6 months, nearly half the entire population of the United States at the time. When the fair ended, they burned it down. Not all of it. Some structures survived, repurposed, rebranded, but the core of what they called the White City, the central complex of buildings that had stopped the breath of every person who walked through its gates, was systematically demolished. Officials cited maintenance costs, liability concerns, the impracticality of permanent exhibition spaces. The explanations were reasonable. The speed of the demolition matched the speed of the construction, which is to say, it was impossible. I've stood on the site of the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition. I've walked the ground where the Palace of Fine Arts still stands, the only major structure permitted to survive intact, and looked at its proportions, its columns, its architectural language, and felt the familiar dissonance I've come to associate with 19th century buildings that shouldn't
exist, he's about to say. Sorry to interrupt yet again. Very good video this I found when I watched it the first time. But I just wanted to show my dismay at, look at this. I mean, they've literally, they tore it all down. And then they claimed it was made of like paper mache and shit as well. That was another fucking bullshit lie they've tried to fucking pull on us, because how the fuck did they build all this in 6 months? Well, they fucking lied to us. That's how that works. So here's kind of proof it wasn't made of fucking paper mache. It was made of fucking stone and brick. And here's all the fucking pillars being knocked down as well. They demolished it all, except, as he said there, one building still stands today, and it's like the fucking art museum or something. I can't remember what he said there, sorry. One building stands. They fucking destroyed it all, right? After apparently building it all in 6 months, the most beautiful city you've ever seen. Again, as he said there, everybody that walked through its fucking gates gasped at how fucking magnificent this place was. So they built it in 6 months apparently, and then fucking tore it all down. Now, I'm sorry, but there's fucking something wrong here, eh? There's fucking something wrong. I mean, I know I'm a conspiracy theorist in many ways. I mean, we're always right as conspiracy theorists anyway, so fuck it. Yeah, but there's something wrong here. There's something wrong. The timeline of building doesn't work. The manpower for building doesn't work. The technology for building doesn't work. And yeah, you've built all this magnificent city that the likes of which no one's ever seen, and then you destroyed it all fucking right afterwards. And as he goes on to say in a moment here, it took longer for them to destroy it than it took them to fucking build it, apparently. So already, you know, the fucking building timeline's bollocks here, and they've been fucking lied to. So we'll carry on, but I just wanted to show my dismay at the fact that we ripped all these. I mean, and this isn't the only one. There is multiple fucking, it'll go into here, world fairs of the same caliber, as we've seen in another video there, the Chicago one in particular. They tore them all down because there was a problem here. People, when we got to today, people like me would have been turning around and saying, what the fuck, who built all this? Do you know what I mean? Who built all this? So, yeah, again, there's them ripping it all down because questions would be fucking asked here. Questions would be asked.
Exist. The scale is wrong for the official story. The detail is wrong for the timeline. And the more you understand about what the World's Fairs actually were, the harder it becomes to believe the construction narrative we've been given. I'm not the first person to notice this, but I want to take the observation seriously, follow it where it leads, and document what it actually means if the conclusion is correct. Because the conclusion, once you sit with the evidence long enough, is extraordinary.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, to be honest. Again, look at this building. Here's a man in the picture. To show you the size of the building, even the size of the statue here, bigger than the man. We knocked this up in 6 months, lads. You know what I mean? Never mind all the other fucking buildings as well. This one down the bottom here, yeah, that was knocked up in 6 months at the same time. Yeah, we had the biggest workforce you've ever seen in the world here. We fucking, yeah, we didn't know where we housed them all and fed them and fucking, yeah, we had 1 million men here. Because we managed to knock this up in 6 months. Pillars for man and boy here, fucking unbelievable structure. Not a problem here in the 1800s. We don't bother with any of this today. We've never seen them build out like this today. But they're fucking in the 1700s there. Bob's your fucking uncle. Bob is your uncle when it comes to fucking multi-layered fucking pyramid building, fucking pillared buildings here. We're not a problem, not a problem. And again, you see this architecture here at the top, a very, very common architecture, even in buildings in England here, in Scotland, and in Glasgow, in London, in Manchester. That very, very finished to the top of a building. I've seen it many a time. So, again, like in Manchester there, and this building here, not that it has the same sort of thing, but it's got the pillars, as we can see here, and not the same on this particular building, but on many buildings we see this exact structure, exact architecture here. So why is everybody as well, everybody around the world at the exact same time, just decided to knock everything up in this like Roman style here for some reason, even though it was real hard fucking work to do it. You know what I mean? But well, fuck it. There's no need for any of these pillars in this section here. Absolutely no need whatsoever. Well, we'll put it up because you know what I mean. It's 1755 here, and we can fucking do anything. We've got the know-how. So yeah, there's definitely something wrong here. You're kind of an idiot if you think this is all kosher that they've managed to knock this building up and all the other fucking ones in 6 months, and then they fucking blew it all up and tore it all down. And it took longer than to tear it down than fucking build it. Well, what the fuck's all that about? Again, who paid for all this? Again, does anybody not remember this capitalist society we live in here where people don't give money away for nothing here? So who paid to fucking build all this to burn it down? You know what I mean? None of this is making sense, to be honest. Absolutely none of it.
The World's Fairs were not built, they were revealed. The Crystal Palace of 1851 was the beginning, or rather, it was the beginning of what we were told. The Great Exhibition in Hyde Park, London, was presented to the Victorian public as a triumph of modern engineering, a vast glass and iron structure erected in 9 months to house the industrial achievements of the British Empire. 92,000 square feet of exhibition space. A structure so large it enclosed full-grown elm trees rather than cut them down to clear the site. 9 months. I have spoken to construction engineers about what it would take to replicate the Crystal Palace today. With modern equipment, modern materials, modern labour practices, the consensus is consistent. With 21st century construction technology, 9 months would be aggressive. With mid-Victorian hand tools, horse-drawn transport, and a workforce that had never built anything remotely comparable in scale or material composition, 9 months is not a construction timeline. It is an impossibility, dressed in the language of achievement. But here is what makes the Crystal Palace genuinely extraordinary, and what the official history glosses over with uncomfortable speed. When the Great Exhibition ended in October 1851, the Crystal Palace was disassembled, transported, and re-erected at a new site in Sydenham Hill in South London. A structure of 92,000 square feet was taken apart and rebuilt in a different location. The official narrative treats this as evidence of Victorian engineering ingenuity. What it actually demonstrates is that the Crystal Palace was designed to be moved, not constructed, not built from raw materials, but transported and reassembled. The modular iron and glass components were prefabricated to a tolerance that allowed exact reconfiguration. This is not how you build an exhibition space. This is how you deploy infrastructure that already exists. The Crystal Palace burned in night. The fire was attributed to an electrical fault. By that point, it had served its purpose. The public had marveled at it for 80 years. Its origin had been absorbed into the narrative of Victorian progress, and its destruction removed the physical evidence that might have invited closer examination. The photographs remain.
Yeah, I mean, there's questions on the Eiffel Tower as well. Like again, that thing's never fell down, and again the tolerances and everything involved. Again, in modern technology, you know what I mean. You test all these things, but was kind of trial and error back then, and yet it still stands today. You know what I mean? Again, these massive metal structures, but I mean the Eiffel Tower was a bit more realistic because we had this Crystal Palace here a long time before, and by then they'd maybe figured out this whole technology and the iron and everything, and again, sort of again as people clear like back engineered it in a way. Again, they found the Crystal Palace somewhere, possibly, as he says there. I mean, one of the big problems they have, and I don't think this guy goes into, again, it was called the Crystal Palace. It was every single one of these holes here, and obviously the front of the building's missing at the moment, or the back. Every single one had glass in one of these, glass in the full thing. Now, when this was first apparently built, people were still blowing glass. There was no technology with glass of that time, so every single one of these sheets of thing would have had to have been blown by a glass blower of the time, then fucking shapened out, and fucking it was a real lot of work for fucking 200 years ago. Anyway, somebody has made videos on it before, I've seen them, and it goes into how much glass you actually fucking need. And in modern days, even in modern times, with modern technology, creating this much fucking glass in multiple sizes as well, it's not all the same size, and again, concaved. All this, even in modern times, would be one hell of a fucking job here. But at the times that they claim that they built this, like, you had glass blowers, do you know what I mean? This would have been absolutely, it would have took them fucking years to do the glass. So there's very good evidence for this building was found, again, like these other buildings in America here that we were showing at the start, because there's no fucking way you're building these things in 6 months, right? It's not happening. It's not fucking happening. Again, with no fucking cranes or fuck all, you've got no chance here. I mean, look at the height of this, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've seen a video, and he goes into the problem that actually exists with all the fucking glass that you need for this thing, and where did all that come from, and who done it, because the amount of glass blowers that you would have needed and the time it would have took, it would have been absolutely ridiculous. So the claim that they found this building somewhere, and again, it has been moved, as he claimed, that is a true fact. It was moved to where it burned. Before that, it was somewhere else. So, as he said there, that the fact that it can be disassembled and reassembled, a building of this magnitude, it shows quite a design, you know what I mean? Like, very, very fucking detailed, technological for the time design, and that it didn't collapse, you know what I mean, twice on putting it up here. It is quite a fucking massive structure here, unbelievable size. Again, and this is in the fucking 1700s here, apparently, do you know what I mean? There's definite problems here. We've got problems. At this level of technology, we should be in flying cars by now, do you know what I mean? We should be living on Jupiter or something with the level of technology we had, and we went fucking backwards somewhere. So even in this video here, if you play it on long enough, it shows a picture of Manchester. It's got a tram, and is that it? Here's a picture of Manchester in fucking the 1700s. There's fucking electric trams here, do you know what I mean? There's electric trams. We had electric, and then we went fucking backwards and took it all away and went to petrol. And now the petrol crisis has hit here. We're in the shit again, aren't we? So again, this is Piccadilly Gardens. That's the Royal Infirmary that we mentioned there. And it's funny, as I say, how come it looks about fucking 400 year old already? Do you know what I mean? Apparently it's brand new, according to the timeline here. I mean, that building over there looks a bit newer, but yeah, building looks like it's there quite a while for me. So, but no, apparently it's brand new. So, yeah, again, there's more pillars on the other side, the same architecture. So every side's got, because on the other side, we've seen the pillar on the other side as well. So every side of this building has the fucking pillars as well, for no reason whatsoever. Again, no technology at the time, real fucking hard work to do all this. But let's put it on all four corners of the fucking building. Why not? Well, we can knock everything up like there's no tomorrow here. So yeah, going honestly, we should have lived back here. We're fucking useless now compared to what the fuck they were doing back then. So again, the Crystal Palace, yeah, all the glass, another issue here. Again, mentioned in other videos. Don't know the video, seen it a while back. So there's definite problems here with all of this for me anyway.
Proportions remain visible in those photographs. The scale remains impossible. Then came Paris, 1855. Then London again, 1862. Then Paris again, 1867. Then Vienna, 1873. then Philadelphia, 1876, then Paris, 1878, then Barcelona, 1888, then...
Sorry to interrupt yet again. I think this is the Philadelphia one. Here we have the American flags here in the top. So yet again, every building here, we can see the style here with the pillars and the triangle above the pillars here on every one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 in the picture here. 10 of these magnificent structures with pillars. As there's the size of the people to the... Yeah. I mean, we built all this in 6 months, lads. We built it all in 6 months. Not a problem here in the 1800s, you know. We could knock up fucking masonry like there was no tomorrow. Again, I think it's very interesting. Freemasonry, and they often say they didn't build these things. They were found. So I think there's very good evidence for that, and they even tell you in the words, like Freemasonry here, there's fucking loads of it. And again, founded, well, we found it, we didn't build it, we found it. That's why we're telling you we built it in fucking 6 months, because, well, we thought people were fucking stupid at the time or something, I don't know. Yeah, we knocked all this up in 6 months, lads, not a fucking problem. And 1800s here, here's all the people, all wearing the exact same fucking outfit. That's how fucking, you know what I mean? We couldn't be bothered to fucking think of any different colour clothes or any clothes of any other kind here, just black suit, and that's your fucking lot. Well, we knock all these buildings up like there's no tomorrow here. Not a problem whatsoever, as you can see. So 6 months, lads, 6 months.
In Paris, 1889, when they erected the Eiffel Tower, then Chicago, 1893, then St. Louis, 1904, then Portland, 1905, then Seattle, 1909. Read that list again slowly. In 64 years, 13 countries produced exhibition complexes of staggering architectural scale, at a pace that, taken cumulatively, represents an output of monumental construction that no civilization in recorded history has matched before or since. Every fair produced buildings of a scale and ornamental complexity that should have required decades. Every fair was fully operational within a construction window measured in months. The official explanation for the demolitions has always centered on economics. Permanent maintenance was expensive. The land had other uses. The buildings were temporary by design. But temporary buildings are not built with 50-foot stone columns, hand-carved facades, copper domes and internal railway systems. Temporary buildings are not designed at a scale that required 27 million visitors to navigate their interiors over 6 months without congestion. Temporary buildings are not documented in photograph after photograph with the same architectural vocabulary, the same proportional language, the same stylistic signatures, regardless of which country hosted the fair or which generation of architects supposedly designed it. The buildings at the 1893...
Yeah, I mean, as we just seen there... Hold on a moment, sorry, I was doing something. As we seen there, again, with the Manchester thing, I can just go back to the other picture here. As we seen on the left, as well as we see from that picture a minute ago, which is a drawing given, but it still shows the building. Again, pillars on all four sides, it would seem, of this Manchester building from the 1755s, with the exact same architecture. Exactly, it's the pillars, it's the triangle here at the top, as you've seen. So as he said there, no matter which continent we go to here, we're building even despite different architects here, everybody's building the same fucking buildings. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's building the same buildings here. Again, these buildings still exist now and again. We've kept a few of them. Again, the Bank of England, I believe, is one of them. Hold on, I'll get a picture of the Bank of England for you here. Hold on. Here we are with the Bank of England. Let's have a look at this building here. Oh, lo and behold, look at this. Pillars, the same sort of triangle architecture here above the pillars. Pillars below. So yeah, again, here we have this very, very similar architecture. So yeah, again, let's have a look at this picture here. So as we can see, again, always the pillars, always the triangle up here. Often with if it's big enough, they often have depictions in there as well. Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at the Federal Reserve as well in America, just out of interest here. Sorry, not the Federal Reserve, the Stock Exchange in New York here. We'll just have a look at this. Hold on. So here we have the stock exchange in New York. Yet again here, very looks well pretty much identical to the Bank of England there, but a bit modernised with the glass, as you can see. But yet again, the pillars, the triangle above, and figurines embedded into the thing. So the claim is we didn't build any of these. We really didn't. And again, the kind of proof of it is the architecture's all the same all over the world. Again, this building looks old as fuck, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it looks as old as shit here, this building. Yeah, it's apparently not that old when this photo was taken. Yet it looks fucking 500-year-old then. So, again, but the architecture, the pillars, the same thing, the pillars, it's everywhere, it's always the pillars. I mean, look at the carvings in all of these as well, and the architecture of these buildings and inside, and the Vatican and all of these places. It's absolutely unbelievable, to be honest, and the Sistine Chapel and all of these things. We didn't build any of them. We really didn't. We found them all, and again, the world fairs, particularly the ones in America, as we've seen there with these fucking ridiculous photos of fucking buildings the likes of which you've never seen. The ones in America have given the game away, absolutely given the game away. The ones in Europe, yeah, we'll give you that because we've been in Europe a long time. Do you know what I mean? But in America, where we're only just fucking getting cooking over there, you know what I mean? We haven't really built the infrastructure or anything at all at this point in time. We're still trying to fight off the fucking Indians, apparently. But yeah, we can knock up fucking Colosseums here, you know what I mean? While we're fucking fending off the arrows. So none of this makes sense at all. It doesn't hold up. So again, as we've been through, but I thought this video was really good of this guy, and again, he's providing a lot of good photos here. And yeah, it doesn't hold up. And again, all these the depictions as well are often biblical. Like again, this all fit for me. It doesn't really fit into Tartaria, or it does because it is sort of the Tartaria issue. But as I've mentioned many a time, it's Satan's little season. Again, the Millennium Reign happened, and during the Millennium Reign, that's when they built all these buildings, and then the Millennium Reign ended. Everybody pissed off because it was the end of the Millennium Reign, and Satan was coming back here. So everyone pissed off and just left all the buildings, because, well, what they're going to do you know what I mean? Take them with them. So they just left it all and left and went up north to the Camp of the Saints and Terra del Esso, etc. That's where everybody is, basically, and they left all the buildings behind, and we found all these buildings. And in order to cover up the fact that the Millennium Reign happened, we had to repurpose them or knock them all down. And again, as he said there, like the Crystal Palace and the World Fairs, they showed them all off and said, well, look at all these magnificent buildings that we managed to build and have never managed to fucking build since. But have a look at them all, lads and lassies, because we're going to blow them all up. So, yeah, that's kind of what happened for me anyway. We'll play a bit more.
Through Chicago Fair look like the buildings at the 1889 Paris Fair. The buildings at the 1889 Paris Fair look like the buildings at the 1878 Paris Fair. And all of them, every single one, look like the buildings that were being photographed throughout the 19th century in cities across North America, Western Europe and Russia. The buildings that mainstream architecture history attributes to the neoclassical revival, the Beaux-Arts movement, the Victorian aesthetic sensibility. What if they all share the same architectural vocabulary? Because they are all the same architecture. What if the world's fairs were not exhibitions of industrial achievement, but exhibitions of something that already existed, cities or fragments of cities that had been built by a civilization whose identity the 19th century institutional order had every reason to obscure?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt yet again, but the fact that they were all white as well, and when you see all these people on scaffolding in a lot of the pictures here, a lot of the time it isn't, if not all of the time, it isn't these people building these buildings. It's like you can see here, it's people whitewashing the buildings and painting them because they found them and they'd been derelict for a while. So they give it all a lick of paint, and then all the scaffolding you can see. It's got nothing to do with building these buildings. It's got everything to do with painting them. Again, as you can see here, painting them all white. It was called the White City, so a lot of people were employed to paint it all and make it look nice again because it had been left derelict for a while. But yeah, they were already here. We didn't build them. Again, I think he goes into it, and a lot of the photos that can also look like the building. It could be the deconstruction photos as well. It could be them dismantling it. Again, the photos don't move, and you assume it's possible building, but it could be dismantling. You know what I mean? There is a few photos, but even then, we've seen much evidence, and people will go into it of doctoring these photos as well. Photoshop was very much a thing 200 years ago. It was done in a very different way, but you could still alter photos, and they altered the sky, and they've altered all sorts, to be honest. But I mean, other than that, I think the proof isn't just in photos. It's in the architecture, as we've seen. You know what I mean? How come everybody's building these exact same buildings all over the world? And they're not easy to build. You know what I mean? Like the pillars alone, and getting the pillars up, and then balancing this on. It's all a fucking big job. It's a real big fucking job, to be honest, and a hard job. So why the fuck would you bother? Like the answer is you wouldn't. And on all four sides in like the 1755, none of this is making sense yet again. You know what I mean? So yeah, but here is pictures of them just painting it white. So again, it was all renovated for the World Fairs and painted because it had been left derelict for God knows how long before they decided to show it off and then blow it up.
I want to be precise about what I'm claiming, because the imprecise version of this theory is easy to dismiss, and the precise version is harder to ignore. I am not claiming that the world's fairs were located on top of intact Tartarian cities, fully preserved underground, simply uncovered and presented as new construction. The evidence doesn't support that specific version of the theory, and the people who advance it most aggressively tend to undermine the more defensible argument with claims that exceed the actual evidence. What I am claiming is more specific, and I think more disturbing. I am claiming that the buildings presented at the World's Fairs were not constructed for the fairs. I am claiming they were discovered partially intact, partially buried under the debris of whatever catastrophic event reset the 19th century's relationship with its own architectural inheritance, cleaned, restored, repurposed, and then demolished after serving their exhibition function. Demolished?
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you again. I just wanted to go back to this. This gets mentioned a bit as well. Like, look at the size of this doorway, right? Why would you ever possibly need a doorway that's, what, 12, 13 foot high? Well, we're going into the giants here. Only a giant would need doors this tall, and again, the buildings and the windows and the size of the rooms. And again, this again, it links into the whole Satan's little season, millennium reign. Well, apparently some of the saints, etc., were giants and things like this. Again, apparently Saint Christopher, that there was a giant, you know what I mean? So, again, there is no real explanation other than you were showing off. But they didn't have the technology to show off at this time. That's the beauty of this. Yeah, again, it's just another good point. Doorways here, what, 12, 13 foot tall for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But we've even seen doorways bigger than that. And the door handle to the door, you can't reach it. Or you'd have to stand on your tiptoes to reach the door handle here. Why would you build a door? Not this particular door, but there is other doors. Why would you build a door that you can't reach? Some people can't reach the fucking door handle, you know what I mean? So yeah, but another interesting point to make here, that the doorway here is fucking 13 foot tall.
To serving their exhibition function. Demolished specifically because their continued existence would raise questions that the emerging industrial order could not afford to answer. The mud flood theory, dismissed by mainstream scholars as conspiracy folklore, provides the necessary geological context. The theory proposes that a significant portion of the world's urban infrastructure was buried under layers of sediment, sometimes.
Right, I mean, I think we can kind of prove that. Sorry to interrupt yet again. Though, from what we've seen of maps, there was no ice in the North Pole in sort of the 15 and the 1600s. By the 1700s, there was an ice cap that come all the way down, halfway down Canada there. Now, we no longer have this mini ice age and this ice cap, and again, there was no sun in 1815 there for 3 years or fucking something. There was no summer or something, as we've seen and learned. So there was big changes in around that time. Again, a reset of sorts, possibly. So the melting of that ice cap on Canada, again, we're talking America here, the American World Fairs. the melting of that ice cap maybe very much could have brought a mud flood down all of America. Again, apparently it was an ice cap 1.5 miles thick that covered most of Canada. So the possibility of a mud flood is, again, we kind of have the evidence to what could have caused it as well, really.
Time in the mid-19th century, leaving upper floors of existing buildings exposed while ground floors and subterranean levels were submerged. The photographic evidence for this is extensive and globally consistent. Buildings across North America, Europe and Asia from the 1850s through 1880s show ground floors partially below street level, basement windows at or below grade, and architectural proportions that only make sense if the visible building represents the upper 2/3 of a taller original structure. This is not speculation, it is visible in the photographs. Stand outside any major 19th century civic building in Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, or St. Louis, and look at the ground floor windows. They sit lower than any functional design logic would explain. The streets around these buildings were built up, in some cases demonstrably so, with construction records showing the grading and filling of city blocks. But the buildings themselves predate the street level adjustment. The buildings were already there when the streets were raised around them. If this is true, if significant portions of the 19th century urban environment represented the excavated remains of a buried prior civilization, then the World's Fairs acquire a completely different meaning. Consider the timeline of the 1893 Chicago Fair. The sites...
Sorry to interrupt again, but here we have another doorway. This is a different doorway. But yet again, here we have at least, I mean, this guy, let's just say the guy is 6 foot as an average here. It's got to be 13 foot, 14 foot tall, this doorway, yet again. So, again, there's multiple cases of these fucking massive doorways, and there's even bigger than this, and yet, again, as I've said, there's even bigger ones. You can't reach the fucking door handle. None of this makes sense. So, yeah, again, I mean, look at the finishing of all the brick and the finishing, and you couldn't get a fucking bit of paper between them. Look at it, it's unbelievable. Yet we can't fucking build them like this now. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's definite problems here. I mean, if you can't sort of see it by now, you never seen it, to be honest. But yeah, there's definite problems here. You know what I mean? Again, these pictures before of this fucking American's World Fairs here with all these fucking buildings and that one there, are fucking ridiculous, like absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the fact that we knocked that down is unbelievable. I mean, what fucking absolutely magnificent here. So again, we were born at the wrong time here. Well, we definitely were born at the wrong time. We were born into this fucking shit show, weren't we?
690 acres of lakefront property was officially a swamp and sand dune landscape when selected in 8. Within 3 years, it contained 200 buildings, 14 million square feet of floor space, and an architectural complex that the New York Times described as the most beautiful assemblage of buildings in human history. The chief architect, Daniel Burnham, was celebrated as a genius of organizational coordination. Frederick Law Olmsted designed the landscape plan. Hundreds of architects contributed designs. But examine the photographs of the fair's construction process. The images show buildings at advanced stages of completion, appearing in sequences that don't correspond to the official construction timeline. Structures that should represent months of work appear in photographic sequences separated by weeks. The standard explanation is that the photographs are misdated or that construction proceeded faster than the records indicate. But there is another explanation. The structures were not being built in those photographs. They were being cleaned. The scaffolding visible in construction photographs is restoration scaffolding, not erection scaffolding. The workers visible are not builders, they are finishers, applying plaster, cleaning stonework, installing fixtures in spaces that already existed. Look at the photographs of the fair's demolition. Buildings that took allegedly 6 months to erect were destroyed in weeks. The speed of the destruction consistently exceeds the speed of the reported construction. This is structurally backwards. Demolition is typically faster than construction, but not by the margins documented in the World's Fair demolition records. The only scenario in which demolition significantly outpaces construction is if the construction timeline was false, if what took months to build actually took decades, and what was destroyed in weeks was being destroyed because its permanent existence had become inconvenient. The 1889 Paris Exposition Universelle produced the Eiffel Tower, which survived, and the Palais des Machines, which did not. The Palais des Machines was, by structural engineering standards, more remarkable than the Eiffel Tower.
More remarkable than the Eiffel Tower, but they got rid of it. Probably because people would have asked questions, you know what I mean? So let's just have a look at this building as well here. Yet again, a doorway that's fuck knows how tall this is, because these people are standing on all the bricks that they're fucking destroying the building here. Look at the size of these pillars compared to the men, you know what I mean? These are not small pillars here. And there isn't one of them, no. We can see 5, there's probably another one out of the shot here. The doors at least, fuck me, what, we'll say that's a foot, and we're being probably generous, underestimating, but we'll say that's a foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, again, maybe 20 foot tall, this door. Again, it's probably more than a foot, that. So another door at 20 feet high here for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Again, look at the magnificence of this building. Absolutely magnificent. All been tore down because, like now, we've only got the pictures and we're asking questions here. You know what I mean? All these people here who haven't figured out you don't have to dress the fucking same here, or only one person's managed to make fucking suits in this time. But we can knock buildings up like this like there's no tomorrow, and then when we finish knocking them up, we can knock them down like there's no tomorrow. You know what I mean? Fuck it, it was no effort to build, so we might as well get rid of it. Yeah, I mean, none of this makes sense. You know what I mean? Look at this building, it's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. It would take us fucking years to build this now, years to build this. So there's a problem here, people.
Clear span iron structure of 375 feet, covering a single uninterrupted interior space. Its clear span exceeded anything previously achieved in iron construction by a factor that engineers of the period could not fully explain. The official record credits Contamin and Deuter as its architects and engineers. Contemporary engineering analysis suggests the structural calculations required for the Palais des Machines exceed.
So sorry again to interrupting. Again, he's talking about this Palais des Machines in Paris that was, again, more magnificent than the Eiffel Tower. But I just wanted to stop yet again, and I'm sure that here is another picture of them destroying one of these buildings. And again, look at the size of these pillars. Again, you can see the destruction being done by these lads here, and they'll have been paid to do it. You know what I mean? They're probably all here discussing what the fuck are we doing. You know what I mean? Why are we pulling these down? Well, lads, because for people like me, we're going to ask questions in the future here as to, who built all this? Because you lads did not build it. I mean, you're having enough trouble here bringing it down. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, again, this is absolute. I mean, even look here. The floor of the building actually goes into the pillar. Do you know what I mean? This is a fucking high level of fucking architecture here, like. So again, look at the pillar, look at the architecture on the pillar here, look at all of these fucking, everyone all the way down the building here, up on all of this up here on the archway as well. Again, another doorway. This could be the doorway we were looking at in the previous picture here. This is round the corner. So all the pillars go around, there's more archways, again, all decorated here. Unbelievable. Built it in 6 months. It took them longer to knock it down than it did build it, but 6 months, lads. We built it in 6 months. Yeah, well, we were knocking it all down because none of this makes sense in the timeline as we're seeing through this video, you know what I mean? These people did not build this building. They're having enough trouble knocking it down.
Exceeded the computational methods available in the 1880s. The building should not have been possible. It was demolished in Nashville, 1897. The Tennessee Centennial Exposition produced a full-scale replica of the Parthenon, not an approximation or an interpretation, but a dimensionally accurate recreation of a building that had not existed in its original form for 2,000 years.
Sorry to keep interrupting, but again, just going to point out here. I mean, again, look at all the pillars here, absolutely magnificent. Over here on the left, we have pillars with the exact same formation, yet again, the triangle above with various depictions and writing, exactly the same as at least 1,000 buildings across the world that have a very, very similar architecture there. All on different continents with different apparent architects there, but every single one of them looks exactly the same. So again, here's all the people sweeping up the mess, you know what I mean? These buildings were already here, and here's people sweeping up the mess or the mud flood or whatever happened, you know what I mean? The buildings are there, the buildings, they don't look new, you know what I mean? They've been there a while. And these people on horse and fucking cart, did not build these buildings. They did not build them. I mean, you've got to see, I mean, all of them, look, even in the background here, all the domes, as we've seen here, the domes, again, all related to a free energy system, the ether. Again, people, I mentioned there when we Israel fired, Iran fired a missile at Diego Garcia. Well, he fired two, and one went missing apparently. And I mentioned it went to the ether. Well, ether used to be one of the elements that took off us. Again, it used to be a well-known element. And again, that's apparently all this was powered. It was free electric by the ether. I mean, he maybe goes into. I mean, look at these buildings here as well. I'm gonna have to play a bit more. Hold on.
The official story is that a team of architects and engineers studied historical measurements and constructed a replica from scratch. The Nashville Parthenon still stands today, rebuilt in concrete in the 1920s after the original plaster structure deteriorated. Stand inside it. The proportions are not those of a building designed in the 1890s. They are not those of a building designed in any century, recognizable to modern architectural practice. They belong to an architectural tradition that produces spaces which function differently from modern interiors, acoustically, spatially, atmospherically. The Nashville Parthenon doesn't feel like a replica. It feels like a building with a history that its documentation doesn't account for. The architectural vocabulary of the world's fairs. The dome.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt yet again here, but here we have another building. So again, them demolishing the building here, as you can see, the bricks that they're tying things around the pillars, it would seem. They're going to try and pull the pillars out, which would pull the building down. Fuck knows what they're going to try and do that with. I mean, that's definitely not definitely what's going on here. Just, it kind of would, again, what the rope's for, kind of, unless it's so they can climb up, possibly. I don't know. But anyway, again, look at the size of these pillars. Again, absolutely unbelievable compared to the size of the men. Look at the, again, architecture. All of them got this same design in them all the way down. Look at the elaborate of the top of the pillars. Every single one identical here. Again, the writing, all this architecture and detail up here. Not a problem in the 1800s here. We knocked this up in 6 months, lads. 6 months. It took us longer to tear it down. So yeah, again, not a problem here in the 1800s. 6 months, and we'll knock up anything you want in 6 months in the 1800s here.
Domes, the colonnades, the arched facades, the ornamental stonework, the proportional systems is precisely the vocabulary attributed to Tartarian architecture by researchers who have mapped its distribution across the former Tartarian territories. This is not a coincidence of stylistic influence.
Sorry again, but this might be us building a building, you know what I mean? This is kind of how we build buildings, out of fucking wrought iron here. And this is what we do, you know what I mean? We don't build things out of fucking stone and fucking like the Romans did, you know what I mean? This is how we kind of build buildings now. Yeah, we don't use fucking stone and fucking marble and have columns the likes of which you've fucking never seen here, because it's all real hard work, to be honest, you know what I mean? See these columns here? Like, putting all these columns in and getting them and carving them and fucking look at the size of them and how many there is. It's a real fucking big job, to be honest, and why would you go to all of this fucking effort for no reason? And then, you in the 1800s, because it takes 6 months to do. That's why you would do it. You know what I mean? Can't do it now. It takes us fucking decades. But no, 6 months. So what? Knock them up here. Not a problem. So yeah, again, it's a fucking shit show, isn't it? Again, I mean, here's another. Let's have a look at this. Again, not a problem. 6 months here. There we go. Same architecture. Triangle, pillars. More figurines in the top here. Again, I'm sure that's what he was on about there, like the Pantheon and a recreation of it, which was already there. But we have knocked that one down and built one in concrete, as he said. So let's have a look at this building as well. Oh, here we go. Absolutely magnificent there, Chicago. So we knocked this up in 6 months as well, probably. Again, all the statues on top here, same design, as you can see. We have the pillars and the triangle here, and a shield in the middle of this one, and the figures for man and boy all across the top here. More pillars to the left and right here, not a problem, obviously. The 1800s, we had pillars for man and boy back then. With some sort of factory that we didn't know about that was knocking pillars out, the likes of which you've never seen. Any size you want at all. Pillars for man and boy, the 1800s. So the only thing that's probably happened here is we carved these words onto this fucking building. That's it. That's what happened. We carved these words onto this building, and that's about the size of it. The rest of it was already here, and we probably painted it white, you know what I mean? We painted it white and carved the words Des de Bomonga Finte Fine Arts on the front of it. But apart from that, we didn't do fuck all here. This was already here. Because we weren't capable of building things like this, of this kind, at this time, in fucking the time frames, any of the time frames given for any of the buildings. And again, I'd love to know where this factory was that was knocking out fucking pillars like there's no tomorrow. Because some fucker was, you know what I mean? So, yeah, again, these weren't built in our time. We found these buildings, and again, it's the same fucking thing here in Manchester. And how come the building looks fucking 500-year old, you know what I mean? So there's a definite case here, There's a definite case. Like, again, for me, it's the Millennium Reign, and that's all these buildings were built in the Millennium Reign. This whole Tartaria thing, Millennium Reign, and how we got through that is the Terra del Eso, missing date line, all this kind of crack, the North Pole. Again, all this has got to be covered up, because if it isn't, everybody's figured out the game here. So I think that explains it for me, as I've mentioned many a time here. But I just thought I'd make this video. Again, the Manchester thing was quite interesting. But again, this was a brilliant video, and the amount of pictures he's got here of all these fucking buildings. I mean, there's more here as well. There was the electric as well, like some of these fairs were all lit up, the likes of which you've never seen. And yeah, again, apparently we didn't have electric back then, but we did. We could empower entire fucking fairs, the likes of which you've never seen as well. There is a picture of them dismantling the actual in this video. I don't want to play it all. Oh, fuck it, look at this. Hold on. Ah, fuck me. Pressed the wrong button. Right, here we go again. You know what I mean? Here we go again. So we've knocked all this down, by the way. None of this exists anymore. This is all in America here. We built it all in 6 months, obviously, for a World Fair, and then, well, we didn't need it. It was all, it's not very nice. It's all, again, the pillar factory was in full effect here. I mean, how many have we got? 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. We've got 100 fucking pillars down the road here. The pillar factory was well in effect here. The domes again, and again, it's Jesus Christ cross on the top of it here, on the top of there as well, the Jesus Christ cross. I mean, some people claim that as well. It's a good antenna, you know what I mean, to collect the free electric as well. So again, same design, pillars, triangle, pillars, triangle, pillars, triangle, pillars, triangle. The domes, again, if you go to Edinburgh and Glasgow, you can still very much see buildings that exist that'll still look like this. So yeah, again, all knocked down now, gone, because people would have turned around and went, who the fuck built all this? So again, unbelievable, absolutely. And we've knocked 95%, as I've mentioned many a time. We've knocked 95% of these buildings down. They're gone. They're all gone. We have a few remaining here. I mean, the Stock Exchange, as we've seen, the Bank of England, all been repurposed, and pretty much all of them are governmental buildings. Again, they're always governmental buildings. So yeah, that's kind of the tale here. I'll leave it there if you want to watch this video for yourself. Tartaria history, but a very good video. But I was just kind of, the video's long enough, and I just wanted to show you some of the photos, etc. I mean, even this video looks reminiscent of the things on top of the Moscow fucking Capitol building as well. Like, look at the Moscow Capitol building and how elaborate it is. We didn't build that either. So yeah, again, there's a very strong case here, and again, the evidence and the proof in many ways. Same architecture all over the world. This is America, yet again. This is Manchester. Same thing, everywhere we look, same thing. So again, I think it's a very good case, and again, we didn't have the technology, we didn't have the manpower. Where the fuck is the pillar factory that's fucking knocking out pillars for man and boy here? They've never been mentioned. Yeah, I think it's a very good case for the whole thing, to be honest. I'll leave it there anyhow, just thought I'd give it a mention. Leave it there, peace.